The morning show has always been a pressure cooker of egos, secrets, and corporate chaos, and Season 3 turned up the heat to volcanic levels. This was a season that gave us a billionaire rocket launch, cyberattacks, boardroom coups, leaked secrets, political scandals, broken relationships, and one very messy merger. Here's your ultimate recap of everything that went down in this tangled tale of modern media mayhem. UBA's new era, the beginning of the end. 2 years after the pandemic's tipping point, the broadcast journalism landscape looks dramatically different. Bradley has climbed her way up, snagging a coveted role as evening news anchor. Meanwhile, Alex remains the steady, if sometimes restless, face of the morning show, holding down the fort with Yanko and new co-host Christine Hunter. But behind the cameras, UBA is on life support. Cory Ellison, still in his manic genius ringmaster mode, runs the network with bold moves and reckless abandon, desperately slashing budgets to keep UBA Plus streaming afloat. His brittle cost-cutting makes him indispensable yet despised, especially by the icy board chair Sybil, who sees Cory as both a gambler and the only man holding the house of cards together. Enter Paul Marks, billionaire, tech mogul, rocket builder, and predator in disguise. Smelling blood in the water, Paul swoops in with plans to swallow UBA into his Hyperion empire after Cory approaches him for funding. Suddenly, Alex finds herself in the center of a deal that could either save the company or tear it apart. News desk to outer space. The season takes a wild left turn when Alex prepares to board Paul's rocket for a space flight. Meanwhile, Bradley races to air a controversial story about abortionist Luna Garcia's arrest. With Alex and Chip secretly backing her, the report sneaks past the system and goes live, just hours before liftoff. Cory senses a PR disaster and flips the script once Alex pulls a disappearing act. He convinces Bradley to take Alex's seat on the rocket. After a crash course in astronaut survival, Bradley launches into space alongside Cory and Paul. Mid-flight, a terrifying communications blackout leaves the world fearing the worst, only for the crew to re-establish connection and land safely. It's a triumphant moment on the surface, but a harbinger of turbulence to come. The hack that broke UBA. Just as UBA thinks it's stabilized, a cyberattack cripples the network. Hackers demand $50 million in ransom, threatening to dump a mountain of employee data. The board refuses, and chaos reigns as confidential emails, salary disparities, and personal dirt are splashed into the public eye. The fallout is brutal. Sybil's racist email labeling Christine Aunt Jemima detonates into scandal, exposing UBA's toxic underbelly. Christine demands a live confrontation on air. But instead of apologizing, Sybil doubles down, telling Christine she should feel grateful for her role. The backlash is swift. The board revolts and Sybil is ousted in disgrace. UBA, already fragile, now looks radioactive. Paul still circles like a shark, using the upheaval as leverage to push his takeover. Cory, cornered, asks Alex to bring Paul back to the conversation, and she delivers, not realizing the impending catastrophe. Stella's past. Once dismissed as the too young executive, Stella's past and present collided in devastating ways this season. As a college student, she had written a code that launched Paul Marks into billionaire stardom. But Paul exploited her creation for unethical gains, leaving Stella shattered. The trauma spiraled her into depression and even a suicide attempt, though she eventually rebuilt herself with the help of her friend, Kate. Now, years later, Stella faces Paul again, this time armed with information from Kate, a former Hyperion employee turned whistleblower. Kate's intel exposes Paul's darker side and gives Stella a chance to fight back. But Paul knows her weaknesses. He tempts her with promises of becoming UBA's CEO after Cory's downfall. Stella spends the season torn between ambition and integrity, ultimately teaming up with Cory in a high-stakes gambit. Pretend loyalty to Paul, gain his trust, and expose him from within. Bradley's darkest secret? The season's most shocking twist tied Bradley directly to one of America's darkest days, the January 6th Capitol riots. Through flashbacks, we see Bradley filming the violence inside the Capitol, only to realize her brother Hal is among the rioters. To protect him, she deletes incriminating footage and hands over only sanitized clips to the FBI, with Cory's help.
it's a dangerous secret that could destroy them both. Hal, now married with a child, resurfaces in the president struggling with the decision to confess.
Bradley, meanwhile, is crushed under the weight of secrets and guilt.
Love, lies, and implosions. Alex spirals when she discovers that Chip has been secretly dating her assistant, Isabella, for a year. Against her better judgment, she falls into a romantic and perilous relationship with Paul. The optics for this glittering power couple quickly fallen into ruins, and Paul's seduction is laced with corporate gamesmanship.
He even promises Alex full control once he takes over UBA.
But Alex struggles as her love life begins to overshadow pressing hard news, like the overturning of Roe v. Wade. Then Chip and Isabella crash hard after she rejects his marriage proposal, convinced he's still hung upon Alex. Mia Jordan wrestles with her complicity in UBA's culture of racial discrimination, while her long-distance romance with war correspondent Andre strains under professional betrayals. Yanko, meanwhile, drowns in culture war squabbles during staff meetings. And then there's Bradley and Laura. Flashbacks reveal their pandemic cohabitation and painful breakup over Bradley's addicted mother. Their rekindled romance implodes when Laura learns Bradley hid house role in the Capitol riots. Trust broken, the relationship ends for good. All the while, Cory navigates his own tangle of crises, board politics, dwindling funds, and a dangerously blurred dynamic with Bradley that flickers between mentor, manipulator, and something deeper. We also meet Cory's mother, Martha Ellison, a quiet Connecticut woman who becomes an unlikely dagger pointed at his son. Cooperating with the DOJ's investigation into Hyperion, she finally agrees to Cory's pleas to step aside. In the chilling moment, though, she warns Bradley that Cory is dangerous, a man whose manipulations aren't just strategy, but a part of who he is. Paul Marks, snake in Savior's skin. At first glance, Paul appears to be UBA's salvation, but he has no interest in saving the network, only in gutting it, selling off assets, and reshaping it under his own control. Then comes the jaw-dropper. Paul himself orchestrated the cyberattack that nearly destroyed UBA, all to cover up a rocket malfunction that could have exposed his company's fragility. Power plays and betrayals. Sybil, desperate to claw back power, begins buying shares to block Paul's takeover. Stella asks Bradley to investigate Paul's inner circle, risking everything to gather proof of his schemes. Meanwhile, Paul plays his dirtiest hand yet. He plants a smear piece in the vault, accusing Cory of crumbing Brad.
He then threatens Bradley directly, promising to expose her Capitol riot
cover-up. He had been surveilling her for blackmail material. The pressure pushes Bradley to the brink, and in a raw moment, she resigns live on air. But the tide turns. Chip exposes Paul's plan to dismantle UBA on live TV. Stella reveals his role in the cyberattack and rocket cover-up to Alex, who had learned of Bradley's ordeal too. Alex finally sees through Paul's mask and threatens to pull the plug on Hyperion unless he backs off. The climactic face-off.
In true Alex fashion, she doesn't just survive, she rewrites the narrative. With Laura's NBN stepping in as an alternative merger partner, UBA wiggles free from Paul's chokehold. Bradley, no longer running, chooses accountability. She agrees to cooperate with investigators ready to exonerate Cory and confront Hal's crime. Alex stands by her, urging her to take back control of her story. And Cory, well, he's still smiling through the apocalypse, convinced chaos is his cocaine. By the end of the season, reputations have shattered, alliances have shifted, and UBA's survival remains precarious but possible. The board is reset for Season 4. If you like this recap, like, share, and subscribe to First Curiosity, because one thing is certain. The morning show thrives on firestorms, and this one is just beginning.